and he started doing call-in shows. And I remember there was one call-in show. I think it was the last call-in show that I had called into, and I had called in. I think Kendra D had called in, and the women were calling in, and I noticed it. I was like, yo, I was like, I think he's on to something. Like,
Right.
it's starting to look like his, because you can usually tell. You can look at somebody's channel and tell when it's getting ready to pop or whatever.
Right.
But in my opinion, Kevin. I feel like he kept digging until he hit gold.
Mhm.
But you know, one of the reasons that video caught fire the way it did is because once it got put in front of all of those eyeballs, they were shocked because they had never seen any black man. And see, this is the other part of it. They had never seen a black man that had a professional demeanor,
Mhm.
that was, in a suit, that was presenting the image of what's the word for it? The image of what you would call high class or
Mhm.
high value, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
They weren't used to hearing that from someone that looked that way. Like hell, they're not even used to hearing that from a guy that looks thugged out. They're just not used to it.
They're not used to it, right?
Yeah. So when he did it, it's like, who does he think he is?
Right, right, right,
You know.
right, 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 right.
And one of the things that he did, right, because there were a few things that I disagreed with Kevin, but one of the things I can say that he did right on his channel is when they challenged him, he didn't back down.
He didn't back down. Right, right, right,
He didn't
right,
back down. He
right.
stuck to his guns, whether you liked it or not, whether you agreed with it or not. He
Mhm.
stuck to it, and that more than anything is why a lot of the guys had so much respect for him. That's the reason why a lot of the guys instantly took to him when he did that,
Mhm.
because he stuck to his guns.
He stuck to his guns. Right, right. Go ahead, brother. Go
No,
ahead.
because everybody don't do that. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right. No, you're 1,000% correct. You're correct. Everybody don't do it, and that's why I
Mhm.
said he's a maverick. He's an Oklahoma cowboy. He's a maverick, but also in many ways he was like the Lone Ranger, just like Baz Reeves.
Yeah.
Baz Reeves was a black cowboy in a time when black men didn't have the power to arrest assailants that didn't look like them. And
Mhm.
what Kevin Samuels did, he was able to arrest the minds of many violent modern women. He was able to captivate the mind of many depraved men.
Mhm.
Therefore, him and many like yourself, he personified the Maverick, big personality, very eccentric, but
Mhm.
also because he was eccentric, he was very poised, and he had a very high decorum. It made him the Lone Ranger. Would you not say that him being a Maverick and the Lone Ranger is very proper and fitting as a black cowboy, a digital cowboy at that in modern times?
Definitely. Anytime you step outside of the social norms and function in a way that is not appropriate, based upon whatever your culture says is appropriate, you're definitely gonna be an outlaw.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be an outlaw, which a lot of the cowboys were outlaws,
They were outlaws, right?
and it wasn't that they were wrong.
Mhm.
They were just going against the conventional way of things, because now, in our society, the conventional way is for us as black men to just accept the debauchery.
Right.
You're wrong. Here's the thing that really annoyed me about the whole situation, because when Kevin blew up and he was saying what he was saying, I noticed that I noticed that there were certain celebrities that started like doing imitations of him, right?
Mhm.
And it was really weird for me because amongst all of us, Kevin wasn't saying anything shocking because
Mhm.
all of us think that way. All of us agree with those ideological views. And it was an eye opener to see all of these male celebrities that were behaving that way because it's like, wow, are all of you simps? Is that the reason they allow you to be on TV? Because all of them were looking at Kevin like what he was doing was ridiculous.
Right.
And the ones that actually agreed with him, they were quiet.
Right. They were quiet. Right. I totally agree. Right.
Because now, and my girl was telling me this, she was telling me all of the celebrities that are coming out now saying that they, regardless of whether you liked Kevin or not, he was telling the truth. And I'm sitting here like, well, why didn't those celebrities say that while he was alive?
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why didn't those celebrities? Because those celebrities had the ability, and I feel like I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or whatever,
Right.
but I feel like those celebrities, a lot of them watch us,
Mhm.
but they watch us in secret
In secret. Yes.
because they don't want the women of the mainstream media to turn against them and cancel them or whatever. In fact, I'm almost willing to bet any amount of money that there's two guys that I'm pretty sure watches me.
Mhm.
E.L. Hughley and Ricky Smiley.
Mhm.
And the reason why is because I'll do a show one night, and then the very next day they'll have something similar to say about what I just said, but they'll water it down.
Right.
And you know, the thing about Kevin, it's like when he blew up, it was like they couldn't help it anymore.
Right.
You can't ignore it now.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't ignore it now. And whether people like it or not, his channel exploding like that, it broke open the gateway. And now whether people like it or not, you know, it's gonna be. I mean, you got what's the black guy's name that he's a conservative and he used to be a sportscaster.
I know what you're talking about. Jeffrey Whitlock. Whitlock.
Whitlock. Yeah, Whitlock. So
Mhm.
Whitlock did a video,
Mhm.
and the title of the video was Kevin Samuels, the king of the manosphere, has passed away. And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think I've ever heard Whitlock say the word manosphere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what's really going on here? I'm starting to feel like there's a concerted effort to pretend that these spaces don't exist and that these men are not having these conversations.
Right.
And with Kevin, the reason why he was a point of contention for them is because he had enough eyeballs watching him to where you couldn't ignore it.
Right. 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 No, I totally agree. Sweet Lulu Bean said, I pray that the pastor Kevin Samuels makes people curious about Kevin Samuels' message and the black manosphere. There's an article where the CIA states that the manosphere has become the threat. We're going to talk about that in a minute, Angry Man. But before we talk about it, shout out to Pete, the investor, for that $5 super sticker. What's your take, Angry Man, when you hear that pronouncement by Sweet Lulu Bean, where she says that the black manosphere, there's an article where the CIA states the black manosphere is becoming a threat. How male space is becoming a threat when we're not doing anything wrong? And many times they associate in this loaded question Kevin Samuels as being misogynistic. What's your take on that?
Well, one, to that person, that article was not talking about the manosphere per se. It was talking about incels.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is that, yeah, there are incels that exist in the manosphere.
Mhm.
Um, but that article wasn't talking specifically about the manosphere, and people need to definitely make that distinction.
Right.
But the reason why anything that we do is a threat is because they have a narrative that they're trying to push.
Mhm.
You know, they want us to continue to be in a state where we are beneath our women.
Yes. Right.
You know, they don't want us above our women. They don't want us leading our women. And the sad part is there is a huge portion of our women that are willing participants because they get some benefit from it.
Right. Right.
And anytime you start speaking against that and saying what it really is, they're gonna have a problem with it because you can you may be able to stop a person, but you can't stop an idea. An idea goes viral.
Right.
And once it reaches a certain amount of people, there's going to be a cultural shift. There's really nothing you can do about it. I mean, we've already seen the cultural shift happen because of the manosphere. Because if you look at a lot of the younger guys, you have people that will use, bad examples, which is, these guys are out here asking women if they're unicorns and stuff like that. But on the positive side of that, you have to realize that that proves the reach of the manosphere. Just because mainstream media wants to pretend that we don't exist, it doesn't mean that young men are not listening and taking heed to what we're saying about what it means to be a man and how to live your life to where you're valued. And if you're not valued, don't sign up for it.
Mhm.
And that's another reason why a lot of the women are upset about it. If a woman is upset about the way we talk in the manosphere, it usually means that that woman has some ill intention for the men that she's going to encounter, or some sort of nefarious motive, and she just doesn't want his eyes to be open to that, because
Right.
that's going to make it more difficult for her to run whatever game she's running. But a good woman not going to care what we're talking about here, because we're not telling men to do anything foul to women. We're just telling them to look out for themselves and make sure that they find respectable women that don't run game on them. You
Right.
know?
Right. I totally agree, man. And you would think that more health professionals would talk about the negativity that's associated with the mental health of men. I've always said before, angry man in the past, that a broken man is a hopeless man. A
Mm-hmm.
hopeless man is very dangerous. And when men are hopeless and broken, they become very dangerous, not only unto themselves, angry man, but they become dangerous to their community. I've also said that a nation of warriors can rise no higher than the nurturers that support them, because men are the warrior class. But when you have a group of women that's supposed to be nurturing the warriors and they're constantly destroying their ego, they're not protecting their masculinity. It destroys more or less their ability to protect the woman from a physical perspective. And that's why when a man comes in the presence of a very feminine woman, not only is it intoxicating, but it does something to the neurotransmitters and the neuroreceptors in the brain. And it transmit to the body to the point it's called, in the clinical angry man, a psychosomatic response. Psycho means mind, soma means body. So the body goes through a state of what some would call a ketosis, or what's called calibration. And those people that the mind and body, when it's unified, that man is optimized to be synchronized with that woman. But see, we don't have men calibrated anymore, angry man. We have a lot of broken men. We have a lot of destitute men. Because tomorrow, and I'm going to do a show tomorrow talking about Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not against Mother's Day. I'm going to take care of my mom and my wife. But the gospel clearly says, honor thy mother, thy father, and thy mother. But many flip it and say, honor thy mother and thy father. That's the backward economy that we have in America. It never say, honor thy mother and thy father, but it said, honor thy father and thy mother.
Yeah.
But see, people don't talk about that. They tend to minimize the essence of masculinity and they magnify the virtue of what some call the divine feminine. Are you beginning to see some of this very dark anger, man? You know, I saw a woman talk about the divine feminine, the goddess movement. And it always appears that it's very antithetical to the masculine. You know, in the Gospels, they talked about Jezebel, and Ahab was a simp. But
Mm-hmm.
the antithesis to Jezebel was Jehu. Jehu was a masculine man. He was a maverick like Kevin Samuels. He also was a warrior. He also was a cowboy of his time. And many times men that speak out become lone rangers. Have you become a lone ranger? And what do you think about the question that I asked you earlier? I know I said a lot, but what do you think about that? And I apologize, I said a whole lot.
No, I definitely feel like I mean, all throughout my life, I've always felt like a rebel or an outlaw because to me, I know based upon history, being a history buff, that the world has definitely shifted into a different direction.
Right.
And it really frustrates me and annoys me because I feel like the goalpost is being moved. I feel like once black men have finally gotten their independence and their freedom, now all of a sudden they want to change the rules.
Mhm.
They want to have us under women now, whereas other groups of men have enjoyed long periods of time where they were able to grow and flourish because they were the leaders of their families and their communities. And I mean, you see what is going on with our community. It's obvious that it's wrong
Right.
because if it was right, we would be functioning, we would be highly functioning instead of at this low level that we seem to be at. So yeah, I definitely feel that I'm an outlaw. And it's funny because occasionally I've actually played that song at the beginning of my show. I'm an outlaw on a steel horse I ride, and I'm wanted, dead or alive.
Right. I
I've
like that.
played that numerous times,
I
like
like that.
because and it's crazy. I even look at it like this. Sometimes I ask people the question. I say, "Would you have stood with Malcolm back in the day? Would you have stood with Dr. King back in the day?" And a lot of people, because it's in hindsight, they say, "Of course, I would have marched with him." And I said, I don't think so.
No.
Because today, the same way Malcolm had his fight of his day, Marcus Garvey had the fight of his day, all of the civil rights leaders had the fight of their day. This is the fight of our day.
Yes.
And a lot of people are saying they're willing to fight this fight, but they're on the sidelines, you know?
Right, right. And the machine is big, man. It's very big, and it's like my man Trump said, it's a deep swamp, man. It's
Hmm.
a very deep swamp, and it's getting deeper. And the indoctrination and the negative socialization of so many men and women. You would expect some of these women to think that way, but when
Hmm.
you hear men thinking the same way, then that's very troubling. When men defer power to their women. What women don't understand, men don't understand is this: women only respect power and strength. That's why some hated Kevin Samuels, but they were secretly lusting after Kevin Samuels because Kevin Samuels personified strength. What's your take on that? And before you answer, shout out to my man, I call him the Little Hobbit, the Narc Perspective. I appreciate it, brother. We will be getting together soon. I'm Narc Perspective. I want to do a show with you. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Thank you guys for all the hard work that you do. Shout out to the blue collar brother for the $4. He said, just found out my 22-year-old son listened to Kevin Samuels' Manosphere information.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal,
And
right?
what you
That's a
guys are
deal,
looking
right?
at is
That's
the
a bet,
original. I
right?
would
That's
say
a deal,
Angry
right?
Man.
That's a deal, right?
I mean, I'm gonna give you your credit. Black Ram, once again, was like a Sigma. Black Ram has always been a Sigma. I love that, brother. But you came up with the concept of manosphere. Is that fair to say? You came up with the
Yeah,
concept,
the
right?
black, yeah, the black. I wanted to separate us from the I wanted us to be separate from the other manosphere,
Right.
which that was called. It's funny because they call that the manosphere. It was actually named by a guy from the UK that was named Angry something. I forgot. He had a name, but he had Angry in front of it. So it was like Angry Jack or angry. I forgot what it was, which is hilarious because I didn't even know that at the time that that I was like, yo, we should call it the Black Manosphere.
Hmm.
So we started calling it that. Me, O'Shea, City and Jap, BGS, quite a few people. And we always made sure that whenever we talked about, the Black Manosphere, we would always give respect and props to the brothers that came before us, even though they never called it Manosphere, which is why we would always say Manosphere 2.0,
Hmm.
because, paying respect to the brothers that came before us. But, I wanted it to be because I knew what happened to those brothers. And I was like, yo, I don't want that to happen to us. I want us to be unified.
Hmm.
And so I was like, yo, we need a commission, kind of like Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky,
Hmm.
because I knew it was going to be a lot of big egos. I knew there was going to be a lot of big personalities, and I didn't want it to be a table where there's one person sitting at the head of the table.
Hmm.
So I wanted it to be a round table where everybody had mutual respect for each other. And for a while, it actually worked like that. And regardless of how it played out, you know, you make plans, but sometimes things don't go according to plan. But it doesn't mean it didn't succeed. You know, because a lot of people they look at it and they look at it with a very critical eye. And my thing is, I still feel like it succeeded
Hmm.
because it grew.
Right.
Everything that happened. There was even one point where all of us in 2.0, these women made a list, and it was like a hit list. They were gonna flag down all the channels, and it was funny because it was so ironic because when they made the list, a lot of the people that were watching us, they didn't know about everybody.
Right.
So once they made the list, people was using the list to say, I'm gonna check this guy out and I'm gonna check this guy out. So it ended up helping us. It ended up
Hmm.
helping it grow even bigger than it was. And
Right. Right.
I try to tell the guys that's watching this, I said, everything that's happening, some of it is messed up, some of it is goofy, but it's growing pains.
It's growing pains. Right.
Yeah, and it's I don't see it because we don't know what happened when they founded this country. We don't know who really, they said when they founded this country and they were writing the Constitution, they said they got into fist fights.
Mhm. Right. 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 Right.
You
Right.
know,
Right. Right. Good. That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
so it's like, you know, that piece of paper minus the 3/5 part, which is ridiculous. But that piece of paper, you know, it was ingenious, except for that one part.
Hmm.
And sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes drama. It takes the disagreements to make something great.
Right.
It
Right.
takes that sometimes. You don't wish it on it, but sometimes it just is what it is.
Ingram, I want to ask you a question because you have your critics, and I know you're a very fair and balanced person. You
Mhm,
know, and I think the criticism are fair, but at the same time, I think you had a right to feel the way that you felt. There's
mhm,
some that say, okay, there are angry man is coming out, showing love to Kevin, but you had some disdain. But
yeah,
you said something that was very poignant a minute ago. When you
mhm,
have strong men that have strong personalities, the men that know they put in as much sweat equity as the men that are before them, then you have a right to speak and say the things that you say. What do you say to your critics to say, why is he giving Kevin his flowers now? And you talked about it. You talked about you guys had your differences in the past.
yeah.
But before you answer that question, shout out to my man Tim Howard for that $5 super sticker. He said that more black men are waking up now. SYSB and mid-toe passport travel. But go ahead, Angry Man. I want you to pontificate that for the audience.
Well, to the haters remember what they want to remember.
Mhm.
If anybody, any of the people that frequent my channel and watch my channel on a regular basis will tell you in 2019 when Kevin first blew up, I was congratulating him.
Mhm.
I was saying, yo, congratulations to Kevin, salute to him.
Mhm.
I wish him nothing but success and all of
Right.
that. but
Right.
but they didn't. But see, here's the thing: these people, they have a thing for Mandingo fight,
Mhm.
you know. So because Kevin blew up and they knew me and Kevin knew each other, they were constantly trying to pit us against each other.
Mhm.
They would come to my channel and they would say, "Well, Kevin said this, or Kevin did this, or or you're mad because Kevin is here and this, that, and the third, or whatever." And I would get into constant arguments with them, saying, "Look, stop coming to my channel with that foolishness, right?"
Right. Right.
And it would have been the same way if it had been anybody else. If it had been, Sidian, if it had been O'Shea that went to 1 million subs, they would have did the same. If it would have been me, they would have went to them and said the same thing because they like to pit people against each other. So, initially, I gave Kevin his flowers, and my issue with him had nothing to do with him becoming successful or getting a lot of subs or whatever.
Right.
My issue was when I heard Kevin use certain talking points,
Right. Right.
I
Right.
was like, bro, shout, cite your source. You feel what I'm saying?
No
Like,
doubt. I agree with
let
that.
people
I
know.
agree with
So
that. Right. Mhm.
that was my issue, and just like I told everybody the other night, I probably could have went about that in a better way.
Man, I respect your honesty, man. I respect your honesty, and I got more respect for you now. And I'm telling you guys, Angry Man is a true gentleman. He's a true soldier. He's a true warrior. Because see, to the detractors, they say, "Oh, he's doing this now." He talked about him, but the fact is, now, man, you're coming. That's what men do. Men can take
Yeah.
the onus and say, "Look, I was wrong. I apologize." That's the paragon of true masculinity. But many times, Angry Man, many people want to see discord among the brethren. And when you have
Mhm.
strong personalities, man, egos get in the way. Look, I'm kind and laid back, but I always tell people don't get it twisted. I'm still a man. And
Yeah.
I tell people also that I'm a man before I'm a therapist. People think, okay, he's a therapist, so he should be a sucker and a pusher. No, don't get it twisted. I worked in law enforcement before I became a therapist. I worked with the Department of Juvenile Justice. I worked with some of the worst kids in the state. Will I
Yeah.
do it now? No, I'm too old to be doing it now. I'm tired. But I'm a man before I'm a therapist. And as I said before, Angry Man, I respect all men. But I'm
Mhm.
about to know, man, it's not a man on this planet that I think is better than me. But do I respect all men? Yes. If you're 2 feet tall, I respect you. If you're 10 feet tall, if you got 2 subscribers, if you got 1 million subs, I'm gonna treat you respectfully as a man until you show me otherwise. But some think that just because I got a kind heart, I'm a sucker. No, don't get it
Yeah.
twisted. Don't ever get that twisted because you will see a side of me that you never seen before. I'd be like Rick James said back in the 80s, busting out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I always tell them, don't get it twisted. But you know, his untimely death, man, is sad. It's very surreal,
Yeah.
and it's gonna leave a vacuum in this space, man, to some degree. They're
Mhm.
saying that there are already those that are trying to flag his channels. What's up with the
Mm.
vitriol and the hatred, man? In your opinion?
It's it's all it is it's them trying to get things back to the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, him being in the position he was in, they wanted to put a stop to it. And now that he's not there, it's like, oh, let's get rid of what he said. Let's get his channel taken down or goofy stuff like that. Because they're
Right.
trying to silence brothers, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this to the dudes that have the critique of me. Oh, now that he's gone, you want to say, well, look, here's the thing. You can hate my guts for that. Critics, you can hate my guts for that. But in my personal opinion, your time would be better spent trying to fill that vacuum,
Mm-hmm.
trying to step into that place and actually continue what Kevin was doing. If you believe in what Kevin was doing, then you should spend your energy doing that. Now, with me, I had a conversation with my girl about it because after I did the show, you know, she asked me, she was like, are you all right? I was like, I'm all right, but I'm just hurt.
Yeah, right. It hurt me too, man. It hurt me, brother. It's hurting now. It still hurts because
Yeah,
it doesn't feel real. You
it
know,
doesn't. It doesn't.
it doesn't feel real.
It doesn't. And I've it's the same feeling I had when one of my friends, the guy that actually named me Angry Man,
Mhm.
when he passed away. It's the same feeling because me and him were friends, similar to me and Kevin, and we would have issues. We'd fall out for a while, and then we get cool again. And the last time we had fell out for like it was like a year or two, and right before he passed away, he had contacted me, and we had started speaking again. And we were gonna hang out, and then it just happened. So it was really messed up. And with Kevin, I was like, I told my girl, I was like, it hurts. And I was like, everybody's saying that, well, Angry Man, you critiqued him and you this and you that or whatever. And I was like, I meant what I said.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I meant what I said. Like I had an issue with what he said.
Right,
And I was like, but it still hurts or whatever, right? And my
right,
my
right.
girl was like, it's cause she said it's cause you feel guilty.
Mhm.
And I said, "Well, why you say that?" She said, "Because of how you went about it." She said, "You feel guilty." She said, you might feel that you're right about what you said, but you still feel guilty because that was your friend."
Right, right,
You know what
right,
I'm
right.
saying?
Yes, sir. Right.
And I was like, what, you're right. I do feel bad because maybe there could have been some sort of reconciliation because there's a couple of times I started to call his phone.
Right.
I started to call his phone and I didn't do it out of pride. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I
Right.
just said,
Right.
nah, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna call
Mhm.
his
Mhm.
phone. But the reason why it hurt me, and yesterday when I did the show, I tried not to get emotional,
Mhm.
but I still ended up getting emotional.
Mhm.
And the reason why it hurt is because foolishly, I didn't think he was gonna die.
Me neither. I didn't think
You
so
see
either.
what I'm saying? Like I didn't think if you would have told me a week ago that next week Kevin was going to pass away, I'd have been like, "You're right." You know what I'm saying? Because even when they came into my show that day with the rumor, I got mad at them. I was like,
Mhm.
"Yo, stop coming in here with that." I started blocking people
Right.
because I
Right.
was like, "We don't even know if that's true. That's probably a rumor, and I hope it's not true." You know what I'm saying? And I went and looked on the internet, and nobody was really talking about it. And I was like, "Man, that's probably a rumor. Like,
Right.
y'all chill out."
Right. Right.
But like I said, man, regardless of what people want to think about me, Kevin was my friend. He was. You know what I'm saying? He was a cool dude. He had our little differences, but he was still a friend.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So they can say whatever they want, but for those individuals that that feel the way they feel, it's like, yo, don't waste your energy or your time coming at me. Spend that time pushing the message that Kevin was pushing. Spend that time because here's the thing: Kevin wouldn't want you beefing with nobody.
Right.
Kevin wants you to get to work. You feel me? And do what you need to do.
Mhm.
You know. But
Mhm. No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to my man Dante Shaw for that $20 super
That's a
sticker.
bet, right? That's a
Thank you,
deal, right?
Dante
That's a
Shaw, and
deal,
I
right?
appreciate it.
That's a
And
bet, right? That's a deal, right?
the
That's a
sentiment
deal,
that you're
right?
talking about, man, is something that some of the content creators had. They respected Kevin, but they felt like sometimes, he didn't give praise when he used certain ideas. I think he did sometimes. Sometimes he would do it, sometimes he wouldn't.
yeah,
But that's neither here nor there. I would never say the word "Be No Nation" without saying shout out to the Angry Man. I just don't do that. I don't believe in what I call YouTube plagiarism.
yeah,
Shout out to Mr. Palmer. He always say change the law in your mind. I
yeah,
would never say that without giving him credit.
yeah,
That's just who I am. I don't, one, I'm very original, but I don't like taking other people talking points without giving them credit for it because that's robbery, and I don't believe in doing that. But I do respect you. I got even more respect for you now, man, because you did man stuff. You just with yourself and said, "Look, man, I could have done things better." But I think it hurts, like you said, because you know that he's not going to ever come back, and you know he's on the other side of eternity now. And I pray that he's at peace with God. But it's sad, man. It's sad because he meant a lot to masculinity. He saved a lot of men. He saved a lot of men as it relates to their ego and as it relates to them being men in general. He saved a lot of men. And once again, like I said, man, it's sad and it's very unfortunate. I want to show the audience something. Hold tight. Let me shout out to I don't know why people won't just let stuff breathe, man. They TJ, shout out to TJ Mosaic, shout out to that sister. She said, I'm in utter belief. Although I didn't agree with everything Kevin said to my brother, Millwood Falcon, OU Sooners, Oklahoma man. Yep, no doubt. Her and Kevin went to high school together. She went to OU and also Millwood High School. Shout out to sweet TJ. But real quick, I'm going to show the people that me, Angry Man, we definitely did chop it up. And people think it was contrived, but it wasn't. Hold tight. I think it was contrived, but I had to be careful when I walked up on him. I didn't think I was trying to.
Look who we got over here. The Lord working mysterious ways. What's good with you? Come on, get in the shot. Look who we got over here. The coach. Yeah, muted for a second because I had the Bluetooth on.
Right. Yeah, people think that was organized, but it wasn't. I figured you was in my neighborhood, man. So I said, let me get in and chop it up with the Angry Man. Yeah, it's muted for a few minutes, guys. Hold tight. You can hear us talking in a minute.
And please tell these people I am not 5'2".
No, he's not 5'2". Angry Man is actually tall. I'm just a giant, man. Angry Man's about 5'11", 6 feet, 5'10", 6 feet. I'm just 6'6". So he's definitely not a midget. He's definitely not. Why would they say 5'2"?
I don't know, man. I'm damn near 6 feet. Like I'm like 5'11" and some change, I think.
Right. I'm just a giant, man. Hold on. The chocolate giant. Hold on a minute. Hold tight.
Yeah, matter of fact, Kevin was about your height, right?
Right. I was a little taller than him.
There we go.
A little taller than Kevin.
Yeah. We're doing the big Tar Heel State, man. Listen, the legacy is not going to die. All the hyenas have been laughing at Kevin Samuels' death, man. We're going to go even harder in the paint now, man. We're not going to stop the dream, man. To laugh at a person that's on this deathbed, man, you ladies are showing yourself the ones that are wicked. We know it's not all of you. But the ones that are laughing at the untimely death of Kevin Samuels is giving men ammunition to do what's best with them. Mm-hmm. We always knew that there was a remnant. The Angry Man and I talked about it. But we understand now that the women that were complicit in mocking Kevin Samuels, we're watching you. Yeah. We're watching you, man. And we're going to go even harder. I'm going to be in the lines with Angry Man and a lot of the brothers in these spaces, man, as we work hard, man, to get men in power and help men become the better version of themselves, man. Because even though this was a very dark time, it's given all of us, Angry Man, the ammunition to go even harder, man. Yes, sir. We're going to go even harder. So, man, I ain't going to hold your stream, man. Hey, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. I knew it was you. I didn't want to come up on you. I said, I don't want to do that. No. Let me do it from a distance and holler at you first. I'll be comfortable out here. The haters don't come out here in real life. They don't be out here in real life. Man. Angry Man living good, too. That's a nasty ride. Appreciate it. That's flip, man. So you was out jogging or something? No, walking, man. I told Mr. Palmer, man, I said, I think Angry Man is in my area, man. But then I saw the day that Kevin passed and you stopped. I said, well, damn, we ain't at the subway. Yeah. And I'm familiar with that subway. Because I'm not too far from there. Because I bike a lot, too. Okay. I said, let me go. And then I saw you filming it. I said, look. Yeah, man, you right in my backyard. Yeah, I'll be out here, man. Yeah, man. So, man, like I said, man, it was a sad tribute, man. It's unfortunate. To those that are rejoicing, your day will come, too. We're going to keep going hard in the paint. I'm going to keep doing everything in my power to liberate these young men. We're going to form an alliance even stronger and tougher. We're not going to let our egos get in the way, man, because, whether you agree with everything Kevin said or not is irrelevant. The brother has some good points. The brother has some good pointers. And to laugh and mock a man when he was only trying to bring folks together, whether you agree 100%, to me, it's wicked. And you're right. The negative and the mean-spiritedness of some of these women, man, Angry Man, in my opinion, is definitely a manifestation of unresolved mental illness, in my opinion. It is. A lot of it's unresolved mental illness. As a licensed therapist, man, we got to point out those things so the brothers can know that when they see it, know how to attack it, so they won't be victims of it in the past, man. So I ain't gonna hold your stream up, man. Good seeing you, man. You live in Hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. Look, I'm gonna definitely have to link up with you, man.
Matter of fact, when I get on your show, I'm gonna shoot you email, shoot you my phone number. I appreciate you, bro. Yeah.
But they gonna say, look, they gonna say we planned it. You know they gonna say that.
No, we didn't plan it. Didn't plan it at all, man. It wasn't
Yeah, right
planned.
there. That's God working.
Right, hold tight. Yeah, but we didn't plan
right
it.
there.
They might think we did, but we didn't. We didn't plan
That's
it.
God working right there.
I saw you in the
So
cut,
y'all, I be look.
and I said, "Make them see." I said, "I think that's the angry man."
I told y'all I be out here. I be out here chilling, bro. I don't be hiding. I be outside. You feel what I'm saying? I be outside. Ain't that something, my man? I wondered, Coach and Clinician, if you listening, yo, I wondered if for some reason I was thinking you was in Durham. I didn't know you was out here in this area. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. But see that right there, you know what? I hate to have to do this because I know everybody ain't religious. I hate to have to do this, but I look. I know everybody ain't religious. I know everybody ain't religious, but I'm going to say it, right? I'm going to say it. Kevin was about everybody working together. Kevin did not like none of the beef. He really didn't. Now, if you came at him sideways, he was going, he wasn't going to feel it. He wasn't going to be feeling that. You know what I'm saying? If you came at him sideways. But Kevin, he didn't want people beefing. He wanted people to work together. That's one of the reasons why he reached out to so many different
And
people.
by the way,
hey, hold tight. Let me pause. Let me pause, angry man.
Now,
go ahead, brother.
And by the way, just so y'all know, don't let Kevin's public persona fool you. Kevin talks shit.
He did.
Now, when I was on the phone with Kevin talked shit. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't no like, you know what I'm saying? He'll talk shit. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is at the end of the day. But he didn't like beefing publicly. But if he had a problem with somebody, he'd let you know he didn't like that person.
No doubt. Shout out to Dr. T.S.N. Johnson, the artist scholar. That brother has been very kind. Angry Man, I started this journey with the Manhood Chronicles and the Kosher Clinician. Shout out to Dr. Ron Neal. Him and I, we linked up. We actually are going to be in Frustrated 3. That's a movie that's going to be promulgated by Al Grease. It will be dropping soon. When Al Grease give me the word, we're going to drop the trailer. I will not do it until he tell me so. But Al Grease has been a great brother, man, great friend. We were behind the scenes with Frustrated 3 as it talk about the machinations of the modern woman. But shout out to, once again, Dr. T.S.N. Johnson. Anytime when I reached out to that brother, man, before I even started YouTube, you would think man, he could have been like, I'm the doctor, you're beneath me, but he never was. Always humble, humility personified. And so shout out to that brother because that's what it's all about. I've always said, angry man, God bless me to get to the next level. I pray that God help me to stay humble and continue to be an exemplar for helping Black men become the better versions of themselves. So shout out to him. Good to see y'all together. Yes, and I tell you, it was not contrived. It wasn't planned. But I know my area. I'm like an old Apache. I'm like an old Apache and the ceremony stomping grounds. And I say, you know what? This looks familiar, man. But I said, if I was a bad man, I said, I would never do that. I said, I could have walked up to angry man and got him.
You scared the shit out of me. Like, oh shit.
That would have been bad on live, man. The angry man got murked. But no, that's why when you saw me, I stood out because I didn't want to scare you, because one, I'm a big dude. Yeah.
That's what I told everybody. I said anybody could have walked up. But my grandmother used to teach me that. Like, anybody could have got sent to me, but it was you. And I'm gonna say this about Dr. T.S.N. Johnson too, because he did a powerful show yesterday. And in this space, I've had to go through my growing pains. Like I'm pretty sure a lot of guys in this space do, and are still going through their growing pains. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that I appreciate about you, that I appreciate about Dr. Tia Johnson, that I appreciate about Uncle Stu,
Mhm.
is that you guys are like an example, in my opinion.
Right.
Because y'all get up here, y'all get to business, y'all don't engage in none of the foolishness, you know.
Nah, man.
You know, I jump down in the mud all the time and get to you know, get into it with people and go back and forth and stuff, but you know, I'm a work in progress.
No, I appreciate that. The Apostle Paul, before he became the great apostle for God, man, you know, all God's great generals had issues. Moses was a liar. David was an adulterer. Solomon was a whoremonger.
Or was a drunk.
Right, Noah was a drunk, and Moses was a rebel and a dissident by Yahweh. So you're no different. It's called the human experience. So I respect you highly because regardless of, back in the past, he said, damn, angry man yell all the time, man. To the point, I said, he did. I love the brother, but I said, yell all the time. I said, damn, that yell is giving me a cacophony inside my head. But I knew, regardless of all of that, I always appreciate your intellectual acumen. And when I met you, man, I said, this brother is a good man because your energy is, you know, the veneer doesn't tell the story of your heart and soul. And I could, you know, look at you and say, you know, he's a cool brother, man. Overall, he's a cool brother because I study people, and I watch them, you know, and you know, I know the ones that are genuine, sincere, and I know the ones that are full of, you know what, they're weasels. But you know, but I always felt that, oh, more or less, you were a good brother, man. You know, and I don't know if it's that Libra vibe. You and Tia San, y'all both are Libras, man. Y'all love people, y'all love to help people, man. And y'all have a hard time saying no, but I respect you highly. And shout out to Dr. Tia San Johnson. He said convertible games for that $10 super sticker. Shout out to that brother. I appreciate it. And TJ, yes, dear, I will be getting in contact with you. I just got to figure it out. My schedule is very busy as a therapist. I don't even have time to breathe. But it's all for the love of the brotherhood. So no doubt. So I want to pull up this stream that made Kevin big, angry man. And let's break it down a little bit. The anger at best made Kevin a legend. He just went from about 100,000 subs, man, at that point.
Yeah.
And then he just kept growing and growing and growing and growing, man. And like I said, man,
he caught fire.
He caught fire, right?
Caught fire.
Right. He definitely caught fire. Hold tight.
Cannot say what's wrong or right. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Those were hers.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, are you a PhD?
No.
I'm a PhD.
How many dollars you got?
One.
Really?
I'm sorry?
What kind of dog is it?
He's a cane corso.
He's a what?
A cane corso.
What is that in English?
It's a larger dog, and their breed is meant for guarding and protecting. They're very protective of their home and their family.
Okay, so what's your disagreement?
Honestly, I don't have a disagreement. I just came here because I honestly want some advice from you.
It says disagreement day.
This is my first time catching you on live. Normally I'm asleep. And
you have a job?
I do. I own a business.
Okay, so I do too.
I do have a question.
But I have a business. And if you wanted my advice, you could always book a session if you can't catch us at the show live.
I was trying to go online earlier.
But all you have to do, man, but see, what kind of business do you own?
I own a pet grooming, doggy daycare, and indoor
okay,
dog
so
park.
What you're basically trying to do is I have a disagreement day, and you basically came in and said, damn your topic. I want to ask you what I want to ask you. And but you are more than welcome to go on my website and purchase your time to talk with me one-on-one. Because what you're trying to do is rather rude, but I will go ahead and do it because I'm going to use this as a teaching lesson. How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 35.
35 years old. 35 years old and you're a business owner.
Uh-huh.
And what's your question?
My issue is, well, I want to know at what point when I'm just meeting a guy, do I tell him that I'm a business owner? Because my problem is that when I try to date down and the conversation comes up to where I own a business, the guy is either like, hey, can I come join in on you on that business? Or can I put some money and be a business partner? And I'm not looking for that. And I honestly...
hold on. I need to be clear on this subject. Where are you at?
North Carolina.
And you're saying when to tell somebody you own a business?
Angry Man, how ironic. She's from the Tar Heel State too. The video that made Kevin popular as a woman from North Carolina. When you heard that Average at Best video, what resonated inside your head about the cognitive dissonance that so many modern women have? And why do you think that video took Kevin to Maverick rise? Because sadly, man, Kevin is still growing even in death. He's become a legend. Kevin has 1,440,000 subs now, so he's still growing. So to all his dissidents that hate him, the man is growing in death. And I'll say it again, man, it's still sad. It's still surreal. It still seems very unreal.
Yeah.
But such is life. But when you hear him talk about the things he talk about, what did you hear from Kevin from that brother?
Well, one thing when he told them they were average at best, the reason why so many of them got angry is because they knew it was true.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that they were bloating their worth, because their worth was based on a lot of superficial things instead of it being based on something more more inside, more character based. They know that. They know they have that deficiency, but they live in this sort of culture where they hype themselves up and they hype each other up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that scene in one of the episodes of Insecure, where Issa and Molly are at this taco stand, and Issa's telling Molly about her situation with her boyfriend, and Molly kind of gives her a legit, logical assessment of the situation, but the way she gave it to her, it seemed like she was putting the blame on Issa.
Mm-hmm.
Issa was like, whose side you on? And she was like, oh, my bad, you right, you can do no wrong, sis. And I thought that was really a significant scene in that show, because it was the one moment of honesty where you see how women kind of uphold each other's dysfunctions.
Right.
And see, with Kevin, he was pointing out those dysfunctions.
Right. And that video, man, took him to a super, super high level. Hold tight. We're gonna finish checking it out. Hold tight.
Because I find when I date down, guys see an interest and want to be like a business partner. And I'm learning that maybe I need a high value man, because that's what.
Well, first off, ma'am, I really don't understand. What kind of man are you talking about? Because owning a business is no different than having a job, in my opinion. And so I'm not getting what you're saying. When should you? I'm not understanding why this is an issue. If you're, what kind of men are you? What kind of men are you dating?
I try to give guys that not up a chance.
You try to do what?
I try to give guys that's not on my level a chance.
Why? What do you mean on your level? What does that mean?
That's making 6 figures or more.
But I don't okay.
Why do so many women get it confused with relationship symmetry? They always assert and assume that money is the great equalizer when it comes down to relationship symmetry. What women don't understand is that men are not concerned about money. They never have been, especially those that have money.
Yeah.
But fair exchange is no robbery. Angry man, in the past, fair exchange for a man was this: virgin, wife ready, no kids, and a woman is willing to serve the mission of a man. Men didn't care about your money. Your money was just an asset to helping that man get the things that he wanted in a woman the most. But they assume and assert that men care about, their dating down. But that man typically would be seen to be dating down if he married a woman of such ilk, because that woman, if that man is traditional, does not meet his metrics. Why are women so befuddled, angry man, when it comes down to understanding what men want in traditional relationships? Because traditional men want traditional women, and men by virtue want women that are feminine, but also women that have not had a lot of fun. But why do they have such a cacophony inside their head when it comes down to relationship symmetry and what men want, in your opinion?
Because they've been reprogrammed outside of their natural state.
Mm-hmm.
They originally knew how to do it, but they allowed the feminist movement and that whole ideology to permeate their mind, and they bought it hook, line, and sinker. And the whole point of the feminist movement is, you have this group of women that say the patriarchy is evil and the way men operate is evil and the things that men do is wrong, but their entire premise of how they display strength and power is by mimicking men.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already a fallacy. It's already something that is an oxymoron. It doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is when they're trying to mimic the things that they think give men power, they misunderstand it. And they misunderstand it because they're not men. So their perception of what men's power comes from it's kind of like a black person thinking that white people's power comes from brutality.
Mm-hmm.
So if black people get the same amount of power as white people with that mind state, then they're going to want to brutalize everybody because they think that's the source of their power.
Right.
Really, the source of their power is their ability to collectivize. You know what I'm saying? Their ability to I'm not even sure that's a word, but their ability to organize and come together, which was something they had to do back in the day because they warred with each other so much. So they had to learn how to organize and come together and be unified in order to defeat whatever tribe they were going up against. Because if you go back to Rome and you look at a lot of the Germanic tribes, they were starving. And, they groups like the Vandals, when they sacked Rome, they had to be organized because they were going up against the greatest empire at the time. So these groups have learned throughout history to live by code and to stick together. You know what I'm saying? So that's where their power comes from. But the women look at it like, no, their power comes from this or it comes from that, and then they try to mimic it, which is why they're always ill suited for it.
Right.
Once men have power, men learn how to be. The more power a man gets, if he's a good man,
If he's a good man, right.
he learns how to be benevolent. This is what T'Chaka said to T'Challa in the Black Panther, even though it's a fictitious movie, but what he said is true. He told T'Challa that he was a good man, and he said it's hard for a good man to be king.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get a certain amount of power, you have to learn how to temper it with patience and benevolence, and you have to do those things. But oftentimes when women get a certain amount of power, they behave like dictators,
right,
because they think that's what men do.
Right. And they use it sometimes not to the benefit of the greater whole. Sadly, when they get in power, some don't use it. Many don't use it for the benefit of the greater whole. They use it for their own selfish aggrandizement. And it's unfortunate because you saw it firsthand in these last elections, Angry Man, how some voted for themselves instead of voting for the greater collective, which didn't leave me shocked at all. I always hear some of our women say, or many say that they assert that we are the the agents of their oppression. But I always said black men never had the power to oppress no one. We were all mules of the same cause.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I always tell even some of my white brothers, you know, the average white man didn't have anything to do with the power that the oligarchs had to create the laws that we're seeing now. They were just average guys too that were participants in an indirect way. But somehow our women can't see that great disconnect, and they always correlate domestic issues with macro oppression. You cannot correlate the two because they're not synonymous to one another, and that's the great conniption that I see, and we continue to see this what I call this foolish war cry that we are oppressed. And you would think, angry man, they got more now than they ever have had in human history,
Way more,
and they're still complaining. What's the issue in your opinion?
well, you know, and I'm probably gonna get canceled for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Um, I don't think they have the ability to see it the way that men see it, and I think that is a, you know, you're a scholar, so you'll get this. It's an evolutionary thing. You know, the way evolution set things up, the hierarchy is man, woman, child.
Right.
So whoever's under you is who you look out for. You don't really look out for who's above you. You know, men look out for women and children, women look out for children. So if a woman is in a position of power, you don't expect her to look out for the men. She's just going to look out for the children.
Right.
You know, even if you look at it from a religious standpoint, the hierarchy is God, man, woman, child.
Yes, sir. Right.
So I can't expect to understand God's design or how God would look out for everyone. You know, I don't have that ability, but I do have the ability to look out for my family. And, you know, I don't expect my woman to take care of me or look out for me the same way she would look out for her children. And that's a reality that men just have to recognize. But that's the reason why that hierarchy is the way it is.
Right.
You know, because whoever you are charged with the duty of looking out for, that's who you're over. You know, and to reverse it, you know, man respects God's law.
Right.
And woman respects man's law.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that to be true from a religious standpoint because with Eve, she didn't respect God's law.
Right.
So much so that she manipulated her own husband into defying God. And that's the reason why when God punished them, he true enough, he punished Eve, but he told Adam the reason why.
Right.
And because you have hearkened on to your wife,
right,
and disobeyed, you know, my commandments, you know, now you have to, you know, till the field, and you know, the dust you shall eat of it all your days, you know, and then die. You know, so the reason why we're charged with the duty of looking out for women and children and having to work and toil and having to endure is because of that punishment. You
right.
know, so I don't think women have the capacity, because even if you try to have a conversation with women, and I've done this, even if you try to have a conversation with women from the biblical standpoint, where you point out instances in the Bible where it clearly states that a woman should follow her man, and you could be talking to the most religious woman that goes to church every Sunday,
Yes, sir. Right.
that shouts and all of that, and
Right.
she will cherry pick that Bible.
Yes, sir.
And tell you that those parts of the Bible don't really apply, or that's not what it meant, or we're in a new age, so you can't really follow that. But she'll follow the part that says the man's supposed to take care of his wife. You know what I'm saying? So you have women that are not even willing to follow God's law. So how could they be under God and then above you? You know what I'm saying?
Hold tight there, because you spit some truth.
Fire for your mind. The culture tradition.
That was that's damn fire for your mind. Shout out to my man, Top Gun. He said expeditiously, you may proceed. Shout out to him, and that is a deal, right?
That's a deal,
But
right?
you said something that was very profound, and I'm going to break it down because I got a great, I got an epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
When a woman can more or less regulate the law of her emotions, then she can regulate the law of God and her man. But until she can more or less succinctly regulate the law of her emotions, she cannot regulate the law of God and man. When a woman can regulate her emotions, it's a sign that she really loves her man, because when she does not feel like doing it, she will calibrate her emotions to a higher cause, because that higher cause, anger man's, is a cause of masculinity in God. But see, some have not disciplined themselves to do that because they are still saboteurs and slaves to their emotions. If she can control her emotions, then she can more or less respect her man. If I can control my emotions, therefore I love my man, because I love my man more than I love my feelings. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
So when she loves her emotions, if she loves her man more than she loves her emotions and her feelings, then that's a sign that's a woman that loves her man, a woman that's constantly striving to calibrate that feminine nature that says, revert back to my feelings, because they're about 80% emotional and 20% logic many times. Even though we know there are women that are very logical, there are some women that supersede the norm.
Yeah.
But in general, women tend to be more emotional. Men tend to be 80% logic and 20% emotional, even though we know there are some men that are more emotional than the average logical male. So when someone says, well, I know some men that are emotional, we're not talking about the average. We're talking about outliers, you know. But the rule is that men in general are very logical. So men that are listening, and to the women that are listening, when you can regulate the law of your mind, like Mr. Palmer said, change the law of your mind. In the clinical world, we call it cognitive restructuring. If you can regulate your feelings to the greater cause of your husband, family, community, but more or less God, then that's true love for a man. Because when you can regulate your emotions, it's manifest in honor, respect, and that dirty word, angry man, obedience. What's your take on that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And see, that is the test of a woman.
Mhm.
See, the test of a man is to be able to weather the storm. That's the test of a man. You know, I always say everybody can be a man when things are going right. But the challenge, in fact, I even told my sons this a couple weeks ago. I had a conversation with them. I said, you know, anybody can be a man when things are going right, but it's difficult to be a man when things are going wrong. That's when your mettle is tested. That's
Right.
when you find out where you're at. And for women, their test is to be able to um, restrain themselves emotionally when it comes to dealing with their man, to be able to, you know, when they're upset with him, to be able to have a logical conversation without just succumbing to her emotional, succumbing to the chaos. You understand?
No, I agree, man. And many sadly are succumbing to this chaos on a daily basis. We just finished looking at some of this, man, and real quick.
You try to give guys who are not on your level a chance. Why?
And because I honestly want a six-figure guy. Is what I'm realizing.
Okay, so let me just go ahead and net it out for you. You ready?
Uh-huh.
The guys you want aren't asking you out.
Well, I haven't been putting myself out there, honestly.
But you put yourself out there enough for the guys you don't want or beneath you to ask you out.
Those are like guys I met online.
Right. So again, the men you want are not asking you out. See, you ladies do this. You go and deal with men who you feel are beneath you, and then you ask how to fix them. I'm not beneath you. I don't know how to fix a guy that's down there. That's not my concern. The better question is, why can't you get a guy on your level? That's the real question. Well, the
I need
first
your
thing,
advice.
well, first of all, I would tell you what I said in here automatically is a problem. Why you would come onto a show that you know is a disagreement day? It's selfish. It's like, well, yes, ma'am. It's like I want what I want. I don't say things for no reason. That's why I asked you questions. You're 35 years old, a business owner. That means you understand what business is, and you know this is a business. And I have a show title. And you said, "Damn your show title, I want to talk to you." But you could have went to my business and booked time to talk to me, but you wanted what you wanted, how you wanted.
I'm sorry.
No, and I'm using this as lesson. That's the problem with too many of you black women. You don't do shit the right way with black men.
Shout out real quick to Ron Star for that $8 super sticker, and it's a deal, right? Great conversation.
That's a deal,
and shout out to
That's a bet, right? That's a
Shaleen
deal,
Sharif.
right? That's a deal, right?
Respect, brothers. Excellent discussion. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you guys that are listening. The Angry Man is definitely dropping some fire for your mind. And KP from KC5 said church at night with Pastor Coach and Deacon. No, I think Angry Man is the bishop, man. Angry Man is the bishop. I'm just the regional pastor. I'm gonna give him the title of the bishop, man. He Bishop Angry Man. I'm gonna go ahead and defer myself. Shout out to my dear friend Shalakimia Moffett. I love that sister. Shout out to her. And she said, "Thank you for all you do, Coach, no doubt. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate everything that you do as we continue this coaching conversation."
That was improper. And when I told you the right way, you still were like, well, whatever. So I'm gonna use this. When was the last time you had a relationship?
Like the end of last year around December.
How long did it last?
A year.
A year. And was that man, did you go to college?
Did I go to college?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. And how long have you owned your own business?
9 years.
And how long have you been making six figures or more?
The last 3.
Okay. Why do you need a man making six figures?
Because I'm finding out that the guys that I date, it's not working out.
What does that have to do with money?
Because I feel like I need a guy that I can respect and admire, and I'm ambition, and I want a guy that has that drive too. And when he doesn't, I find myself, encouraging him, like, "Hey, babe, you can do this and you can do that." And then,
all right. So in North Carolina, what percentage of the population, what percentage of men in this country make six figures or more?
I think it's like 5%. I'm not
closer to 10. So, okay. 10%. All right. So the question is, what do those men who make that kind of money, who all women tend to want, what do they want?
I feel like they want arm candy, somebody who can
Why do we never ask men, Angry Man, what men want? Why do we never ask what men want in relationships? I know the answer, and I know you know the answer, but I want you to tell the audience. Why do we never ask what men want? Why are men often relegated to the scraps? Because watch this. In other cultures, average men get average women. But why don't we honor and more or less ask men what men want, in your opinion?
Because nobody cares. Nobody cares what we want.
Right.
Nobody cares what we want, not even other men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because, like, I tell guys, and I've told women this. I say, you sit down at the table on the first date, and the first thing you do is run down all the list of the things that you have that makes the guy sitting in front of you irrelevant. So why is he going to be excited about that interaction, knowing that you don't need him?
Right.
And never, and the guy doesn't even get to say what he wants, because part of her running down what she has, what her accolades are, what her accomplishments are, part of it is also her disclaimers about what she's not going to accept.
Right.
So she preemptively told you, I'm not gonna do this, 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 this. So she already lets you know she don't give a shit what you want. You know, she lets you know that she don't need you and she don't give a shit what you want. And so most guys find themselves in the trick bag, so to speak, where they're sitting there in front of a woman that's beautiful, that they physically want to be with, but she's already eliminated the mental part.
Mhm.
The mental part has been eliminated. And this is why most guys will still operate in that energy, because it's like, shit, this look like it's going south. Might as well get some. And then that's how they end up in that situation where they're dealing with women that are not giving them what they need, and they're settling for just a roll in the hay, so to speak.
Right. Right. And I think also because a lot of men know that, sometimes to the average man, with over 30% of our men still virgins, getting some is hard for a lot of men. And we could argue that some are socially awkward, but to the average guy have had nowhere near as many as sexual partners as the average woman. What's your take on that?
Well, see, that's where the biggest problem comes in. The biggest problem comes in where we have this issue that we're dealing with the women cutting up and doing what they're doing. And the problem is, because so many men are focused on this and entangled up into this goofy sort of dance that we're having with these women, these men never get the opportunity to focus on themselves and cultivate their masculinity, which would make it easier for them to get some, so to speak. So we never, and I talked about it a few times on my channel. There's certain aspects of, masculinity and male female social dynamics that we never discuss, because we're always dealing with this one issue. And the reason why we keep coming back to the issue is because women refuse to play the game fair. They
Right.
they want the deck to be stacked. They want
Right.
I remember when I was a kid, I remember people used to say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And back then I never understood what that meant when I was a kid. But now that I'm grown, having your cake and eating it too has been personified,
Mm-hmm.
because that is what women are doing today. They're having their cake and eating it too.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of that, as a man, you're not even getting your basic needs.
Right.
know?
What does basic needs look like to you, Angry Man? What does basic needs look like? And before you say so, let me shout out Dr. Thunder, show my respect, pray my respect, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Yes, Void will be in this space with the untimely death of this brother. As I said earlier, Angry Man, I was looking at Kevin Wednesday. I was looking at a show, and I was actually working behind the scene to do some commentaries, reactions to his work from a clinical perspective. Because, many times you can't always personify clinical concepts and use the lamest terms or the nomenclature, because many times people will become befuddled, not understanding. Our people got a short attention span. But I wanted to sell it in a way that can be refreshing, but still clinical at the same time. And it still bothers me. I pray that, he's resting in God's arms. I pray that he made his peace with Christ. But it still doesn't feel right. It just, even when seeing the videos, I kind of figure, the crazy thing about it, man, Kevin got so big. Kevin is all on national news, NBC. I'm talking about big news media networks.
Yeah.
Man, The Hill. Were you impressed or shocked that he was getting so much notoriety? Were you sort of shocked? And you being a colleague of his, were you sort of shocked?
At this point, no.
Okay.
At this point, no. Because he had already once you get to that level where you're getting that much attention publicly, and then when he passed away, I knew. That's why I told everybody, I said, I'm waiting for confirmation from news, like major media outlets, because I knew they were going to cover it. Right.
And Lulu Bean, you're right, sweetie. Women don't always count hookups or short relationships regarding the sexual history. But when I'm taking the inventory, I do. You know, I don't give a damn if he put his meat in you, then that's a hit, that's a target strike. So because I'm gonna be honest with you, Angry Man, when they do that, man, I be getting mad when they, you know, they're gonna tell a lie, because guess what?
That ain't kosher.
And that ain't right.
That ain't right, Angry Man. But we know they're gonna lie about that past, though. They'll say they won't count those little the guys they had sex with one night stands. They only count relationships, but let you go and go hook up with a stripper and let her give you some pleasure, or more or less have a one night stand, and you say, well, that I don't count that because it wasn't a relationship. It's it's just the foolishest thing. We just don't think alike, and it's a damn waste of time trying to convey masculinity to most women, because they don't get it. They don't think like we think, and it's frustrating. And some get it, but many don't get it. And that's where it becomes like a damn dog that's chasing his tail. And it's frustrating because they don't see how we see things logically. They see things through their insular. They see things based on how they feel. They have a vagina, it's inward. But men, we see things based on principle. The penis or the phallus projects principle and power. Just like the scepter, how you say it, sepulcher. It symbolized, the rod symbolized power, position, and dominance, just like a man's phallus. But they do things based on how they feel. And that's why it's like, you know, it's like you just keep them, like Eddie Kendrick says, you know, keep on trucking, baby, because you ain't gonna make sense to it, man. It's a damn waste of time. Real quick, I know you. How much time you got, Ingram? I know you got to go. I want to hold you, man. How much more time you got?
I got a little bit more time.
All right, we're gonna try to finish this stream up. Listen a little bit more, Kevin, and then I'm gonna let a few people come on, because I got to go too. I got to get ready for Mother's Day tomorrow and go show my mom some love. And I got another show at 8:00. So real quick,
have more to bring to the table than just looks, but also bring balance to their life. I feel like I can help them out on.
Okay, slow down. I'm not understanding. You said they want arm candy, then you contradicted yourself. They want somebody that more than just looks.
Yeah, arm candy, but something behind, brain with it, and more in depth.
Do you know any men who make six figures or more?
My dad and my uncle.
Do you know any men that you are related to that make six figures or more?
Unrelated to? Yeah,
men that you are not related to.
Not on a personal level.
So you don't know them. You don't know what they want, but you want them. Man, I'm going to suggest that you really don't know what you want. And saying six figures is just something that you get taken from out there. But I'm not hearing this rooted to anything. What do you want ultimately? Do you want to be married, children, what?
Yes, I want to be married.
Do you want any children?
Yes.
How many?
I have a son now, so.
Okay. How old is your son?
He's 13.
Where's the father?
He's not in his life.
I didn't ask that. I said, where's the father?
Well, he's not like in it like I would like him to be.
All right, so let me go ahead and take this down, ma'am.
Hey, I'm Russ Ruffino, and if you're a coach, consultant, expert, author, or speaker, I have just one question for you.
Men who make the kind of money you're talking about have options. And typically they don't want to deal with women who have 13-year-old sons, who are used to dating men. This doesn't sound appealing to the kind of man you're talking about. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I was thinking once I start booking session with you that
I can't change men.
I know, but I can approve myself.
Anchor man, I'm going to ask you a question, man. I'm not going to show all this stream because it's not that long. It's about 10 minutes in, but I'm going to get to the point, and then we're going to allow a few people, maybe about one or two, to come up. Then we're going to end the stream because I know you need to get your rest. One of the things that's confronting a lot of men, angry men, is the lack of good health. Kevin was probably one of the hardest workers in this space, a very ardent worker at that. And we talk about one person said that too many men are gone before their time, and I agree. When we get older as men, especially, I'm 50, but as we get older, we got to be extremely careful about getting our rest, working out, keeping our weight down, taking supplements, getting our sun, getting the vitamin D. And so some will argue that, that Kevin worked himself into an early grave. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know. But, he jumped the sports drink, the Red Bulls, and some would say that, Red Bulls are actually bad for the heart and the health of a man. What would you say as a content creator yourself? Because I know you work hard. And what do you say about the health? Because and I know that content creation takes a great strain on the body. I heard Dennis talk about it. It's extremely time consuming. It's very taxing. It wears you out. I had to get away from it, just to walk. That's when you saw me earlier today. I had to get away to walk because I was working on a show with Taylor Made Dreams, but he was sick and we're going to plan it next week. But what do you say to the men that say, that's true. Kevin had a strong work ethic, but did he overwork himself? And I don't want to, put any aspersions on the brother, but what do you say to that, to the critics about, men taking care of their health, man?
Men definitely need to take care of their health, especially if you're a content creator. You definitely, anybody needs to take care of their physical health. But as a content creator, like, a lot of people don't believe or understand how difficult it is to be a content creator. Like, for instance, I was reading a book called The Power of Habit.
Mhm.
And in that book, it talked about how people have a certain amount of willpower each day. And they say it's better for you to work out in the mornings, because by the time you have done everything you're going to do throughout the day, you've used up most of your willpower.
That's a good point. Right. Good job. Right.
And by the time you get ready to work out in the evening, you're more likely not to, because you're drained and you're you need to replenish your energies.
Right.
Where you'd have to go to sleep, and then when you wake up, then your willpower is filled back up. I think it's the same way with content creation. I think you only have a certain amount of energy, mental energy, to put into content creation. I've been known to do 2 shows a day, but I can tell you right now that I know it takes a tremendous amount of mental energy. And the reason why I know is because if someone asks me, "Hey, Angry Man, can you come to my show and do my show?" Right? On that day, I have to plan to do only 1 show.
Right.
Because to do 3 shows is going to take too much.
It'll take too much, right?
It'll take too much. And if I do the 3 shows, 9 times out of 10, the next day I'm not going to do a show.
Right.
Right. I'm just going to rest up and get my rest, because there's a lot you have to deal with. And with me, I don't really pre-plan my shows. I just kind of go off the cuff. I get a topic in my head at the beginning of the show, and I know mentally whether or not that's going to be a good topic. Especially if it's something I feel passionately about.
Right.
I know it's going to be a good show, but I'm using a lot of mental energy. I'm using a lot of mental energies, and it's almost like a locomotive. Like, I'm trying to get the ball rolling, and once I get it rolling, I don't want anything to interrupt it. So I'll get frustrated if someone calls me, or I'll get frustrated if someone comes in the chat and tries to disrupt the chat, because it throws everything off. And that also expends your mental energy, having to deal with that.
Right.
And everybody knows whatever goes on in your mind will affect the body in some way, shape, or form, some way of stress or something like that. So early on, I didn't really know how to deal with it, but lately what I do is, I do my shows and then I get away from YouTube and I go do stuff, like today. That's why I went outside to do my show, because the funny thing is, even when I do my show sitting in the car, for some reason it's not as stressful as when I'm here with all the bells and whistles and all that.
Right, I totally agree. Right, it's more natural, man. And normally I'll be riding my bike up at that thoroughfare. You know, it would have been awkward. You had saw me on that bike. I got a Trek 920, man. I got Bluetooth speakers on it. It's dope, man. I got speedometers. I got my Trek bike. It has a built-in Bluetooth sensor, so it reads it. I got lights on it, man. It's nasty. You know, you saw it, you're like, oh, sweat. I got Schwabi tires about $80 a piece. So you know I'm a Leo swag it out, man. But I'll be hitting the trails up at the Noose, man. I'll be hitting the trails sometime, man. And I'm gonna tell you something, Angry Man. If you haven't got you a bike, man, get you a bike, man. Get you a bike and start biking, man. You know, it's powerful for your mind and mental health. And you know, get you some music, man, because it'll do wonders. Because you know, being a licensed therapist, man, you see clients all week, not getting your rest. You know, I even take fish oil. You have to recover mentally, man, and you know, you're drained when you're trying to help people. And I pray to God that wasn't the cause of Kevin's demise. You know, because you know Kevin drank a lot of Red Bulls, and you know he was constantly working. He was I'm not gonna say a workaholic, but I don't know. But you say he was a workaholic. He worked hard, man.
I think he was. I think he was, because here's the thing, like any of the guys here, like if I see a guy on YouTube and I'm watching his channel grow, I can almost instantly tell you how much that guy worked. That's why I always laugh whenever people say, "Oh, YouTube isn't a job."
It's a job. It's a job.
It's you know, in fact, off the top of my head, I know O'Shea works his ass off. I know Obsidian works his ass off. I know Anton works his ass off.
Right.
I know Lead Attorney. There's a few guys that I look at and I can tell they work their ass off, because it's not easy to grow a YouTube channel.
It's not easy at all, man. You know, it literally took me about 5 hours. When I saw you, I had already put in about 4 or 5 hours. And then, like I said, when Taylor got sick, I came right back and I did something. Sadly, believe it or not, man, sometimes my shows I do from the top of my head end up being better. I don't know why. But I just came up with something. I said, you know what? Kevin Samuels, Maverick, and the Lone Ranger. I call him the Digital Maverick and the Digital Lone Ranger. And that was just so fitting, because he was an Oklahoma Sooner. And when you think about Cowboys, you think about Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was he was a lawman. You know, he brought law and order. And that title fits him so well. The Digital Bass Reeves, the Digital Maverick, and the Digital Cowboy, the Digital Lone Ranger. And so it fits him perfectly. But, you know, I just want to encourage you, brother, you know, to continue to work out, stay healthy, drink plenty of alkaline water. You know, make sure you get your fiber. I got to do it myself. I need to drop about 40 to 50 pounds. I mean, you know, even though I don't look it, but I'm about 280. But I need to get this weight off, because I was like 225 in high school, 230. So I need to get it off, man, because, you know, you see my work, you know, like that little short stream you said, Fire for Your Mind, trying to get creative. Sometimes those little streams and clips can take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes just to figure things out. I'm trying to figure out how to make things extreme fun. You know, it takes a lot of mental dexterity, but at the same time, it takes a lot of creativity. And it's not easy, man. And I see why some people say, look, I'm sick of doing it, because, you know, they look at you when you get in the cash apps and the donations, but they don't see the work that you do behind the scene. Shout out to my man, Barry Hampton. Great conversation between Coach Connection and Angry Man. Kevin Samuels' legacy must be protected at all costs. I agree 100%. And also, he said, one guy said the replicant fish. So we're going to sign off in a minute. I want to ask you a question. Where do we go from here, Angry Man? And I don't know if you want to take any callers, but I'm not going to do it. I know you're tired. You've been streaming all day. And so I'm going to let you go. But where do we go from here? And will this bring us closer together? Will this be what I call a balance in the force? Because I don't think most modern women are going to get any better. Truly, the gospel says that things will wax worse and worse. So I don't see them getting any better. But to he that has an ear, let him hear what the church is saying, but more or less let him have an ear to what the manosphere is saying as well, not to sound sacrilegious. But where do we go from here? And do you see it getting better? I don't see it. But where do we go from here?
I think from here we just gotta keep putting in the work. We just gotta keep pushing forward. I want one of the things we say over on my channel is to keep the faith, keep the pride, and hold the line. Because we got all these forces coming at us, and like the 300 Spartans, we're only as strong as the man standing next to us.
Right.
So we gotta hold the line, and when it's time, we gotta push forward. We might not be able to. When they line up with them shields, you got all them forces clashing against it, and they're pushing back against you. But at some point, pushing stops, and then you have to start walking forward and pushing them back. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just got to move forward. I think we got to hold the line. We got to keep the faith that what we're doing is righteous, and we got to keep the pride. Be prideful of the fact that we're doing work for men,
right?
And continue to push forward. And as far as Kevin's untimely demise, like I said earlier today, I hope that it will be a situation that I hope it will serve to unify everybody instead of dividing everybody. And which is why I said what I said, to be the first example by saying, I'm not beefing with nobody. I don't care what our past differences were. If we had differences and we can't get along, good fences make for good neighbors, as Obsidian would say. You do your thing over there, I do my thing over here. As long as we're doing the work of the mission, it shouldn't really matter. We all don't have to get along in order to accomplish a goal. But I'm hoping it serves to unify everybody, and I'm hoping that guys will just keep putting in the work and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and we will do that. Angry Man, do me a favor, man. Leave your phone number in the private chat, or you can email it to me, whatever makes you feel comfortable. And like I said, man, it's been a very dark time. Like I said, I lost my sister about 2 months ago, and as I said, I got close people that know Kevin, and when the young lady reached out to me, well, actually two, and I was at work, and I said, but no, it can't be true. I said, I don't believe that's probably a scam. That's why when I did the show, I said, it's Kevin Samuels' death, the death of truth. And I think that he was an icon of truth. And, we live in a time now, Angry Man, where moral relativism says that your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth. But they never say that the truth is the truth. The objective truth is the truth. There's no such thing as your truth. No, the truth is the truth as it relates to objectivity. And so when I heard the news, and then when I got the confirmation as I was, running the show, it just made me realize, true to what the scripture calls it, the brevity of life. He said, our time on this earth is like a vapor. And Kevin will always say, we don't have too many sons. And it's true, man. I'm in the fall or the early winter of my life, late fall, early winter. You're probably in the early fall. And then sometime we will expire and stand before our Creator. And so I tell the young men that are listening, live your life on purpose. Don't be besmirched by the chicanery of most modern women. We are doing these shows with the Angry Man, and even go back and look at some of Kevin's old shows and other content creators to empower you to know what your power is and your worth. Men have the right to self-determination, to live their lives on their own terms, free of disdain, free of ridicule, and free of shame. And when men can adequately execute those standards in a more meticulous way, then the veneer of shame is broken and the mantle of masculinity is erected. And when we erect that mantle of masculinity, then we have what's called a more perfect union. So now it's time for the men to unite. And like you said, how you say, Angry Man, Spartans? I don't know what that dope thing you be saying, but Spartans.
Spartans, what's your profession?
What's your profession? No doubt. And so it's time for us to be Spartans in a time when so many are cowards, when so many are craven. It's time for us to be Spartans when so many are cowards. because I've never seen a time, man, when so many men won't speak out. If men knew the power that they had in unity, women often fall in line. Sure, they're going to bark. Sure, they're going to try to shame you. But behind the scenes, some of them are actually secretly lusting, and many are actually saying, "Damn, I wish we had more men like them." Because you know, and I know from your experience in dealing with women, they might get mad at the things that you say, but they eventually come around. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Facts.
Right.
They can get upset and have tantrums or whatever, long as they do what is required afterwards. You know?
No doubt. Well, listen, it's been a good show, man. I love you, brother. I'm gonna get your number. Okay, here.
Yeah, I'll put it in the back.
Yeah, man. I never thought a million years, man. Like I said, I used to listen to you all the time, man. I actually told I said, man, he lived up in my state, man. I told Palm, I said, I got to reach out to the angry man, but I was like, I don't know. I'm a little star. He's a planet, so so I don't know. I don't know if he gonna chop it up with me, man. But like I said, man, I'm honored, man, that you've taken the time to be on the platform. I appreciate everything you've done. It was an honor meeting you in person, and I did it with trepidation. I said, I don't want to scare the brother, man. You see the big black abominable snowman walking up to him, man. I didn't want to scare you, man. But what are your closing comments, real quick, man? Then we're gonna end the stream, brother. Closing comments, if any.
Great show, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, guys like you, Uncle Stu, women like TJ, like y'all are a breath of fresh air in the space. So I definitely appreciate y'all.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, man. Get you some rest. Guys, go enjoy your Mother's Day. I plan to have a show tomorrow talking about Mother's Day versus Father's Day, honor, respect, and celebration. And Angry Man, thanks again, brother. Love you once again, brother. And I wish you and your family much blessings. And guys, we're going to be signing off. So be good, brother.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man. And a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
Like I work in finance. God bless, no, this not by chance. Don't dab me, you're not my man. Don't at me, you're not my man. Mama said don't buy it if you cannot buy it twice. I cop by the tools and I don't pump fake with the price. Always on the grind, I put in work with all my might. I know that he got me, not by sight. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like Brandy's, I slide out Landy's, V12 Benji, all black like Benji. Sit 4 days, that's for sure though. Grinding from the grip, no shame, take a photo. Time to take a trip, we head north to the border. Say you filling up, I'm my favorite type of hoarder. I got kids to feed, I got enemies, I got God's gift, so they envy me. Got some friends out in Memphis like I'm Aubrey. friends fall for orange like some autumn leaves. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like Danish, I slide out landish, beach up Benji, all black like berries. Yeah, 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 yeah. I skirt like Vanish, I slide out landish, eat up veggie, all black like bad meat. 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 Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah, yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Watch out for those who surround you, need no funny kind. You can't see what's on my brain, I live inside my mind. Out of space and out of sight, you need me in my line. Need no face, don't need no phonies, no, no, no. Need no snakes, no only homies down for show. On go, go, go. Get a book and get the front and we load up and roll, roll, roll. I got kids, yeah, I got staff, I make a little need more, more, more. I sell records, you sell packs, not on my level, no, no, no. I'm a pop star, I'm a rock star, I'm a winner. Think I'm not hard, you smoke rock, car waste, man, why you dumb? I'm with airline, we on airlines like we on the run. I'm with Tay, girls run up on me, they done. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah, yeah, why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my.
Ma jolie, oh ma jolie. Ah yeah, eh. Every time I come around you, baby girl, something doesn't feel the same. You said that I'm changing, but it's really you. I see how you play those games. Wifey type for a maid man. A queen can make moves, a king can't. Snatch you up, now you taking. Gave you bricks, now you building a wall up, wall up. Lately you and I been all love, all love. I don't know what's up with our love, you forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where are you? When I need you the most, you still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. Called your bluff and made you something, now you talking. Telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, oh, my jolie, oh my jolie, my jolie, oh my jolie. You don't turn on me now, you don't get no time for me now, babe. Got him on a rebound, but it's only you that I like, babe. Tout ce que j'ai fait c'était pour toi. Sur le haut parlement t'écoutes pas. Tu me vois crever mais tu bouges pas. Pourquoi? Whoa, yo, wall up, you can't even get the scars up. For us, I don't know what's up with our love, you forgetting all about us, oh. My jolie, oh my jolie, where you been? When I need you the most, you still MIA. This is murder, heart is melting, girl you got me. This is more than bluffing, need you something, now you talking. I call you bluff, telling me to cool it off, how can I cool it off, it off, telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? My jolie, oh my jolie. Thing, girl, you got me. Called your bluff, ain't made you something. Now you talking. You telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Telling me to cool it off, cool it off. How can I cool it off, cool it off? Cool it off. I don't know how to cool it off. My jolie, oh my jolie.
I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind. All the time, he's my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grabbed my hand, gave me a notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind. All the time, he's my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubbles still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bare face. Now he's got a hell behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I bow to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist. Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie.